format as usual, Jared. Will you kick us off, please?
Will do, no problem at all. Happy Christmas.
You too.
We're almost there.
Yeah.
I won't be asking any questions about Christmas shopping, of course.
I know, don't. My wife might be listening. No. Hey, shh.
David, listen, this is one of the best and the busiest times for a football manager, for a football player. Can you just give us some insight as to the challenges now as you go obviously to the game of the week now? We got one game, then another game, then another game. That one game after a time, take one game at a time. It's almost impossible over Christmas because you've got no time to think. How do you approach the challenge of the Christmas period?
Well, it's different from normal because you would have sort of preparation time and a time to sort of feed back to the players after the games as well. I think at this period you're nearly moving on very quickly. You're more interested in getting them recovered, getting them ready for the next game and prepared for it. So things change. I think it all goes very quickly. But I've been involved in football since I was 16, playing or managing, and I've not really known it any different. So it's something you get on with, you learn to do it as a player. Over the years, there was sometimes you were playing 2 games every 3 days, or how it was working, and it wasn't always that nice. But I think if you're a professional footballer, you understand if you come to play in this country and you want to play here, then part of our tradition is that we play over Christmas and New Year.
How happy are we? You've had some time with the team, with the squad now. How happy are you with the form, with the setup, how you're playing games?
Well, I'm happy with the form last week. I'm happy with the points we took. I'm happy with our performances. But we've got a lot to do, for where I would like to go with the team. We're at the run of the ladder. But I think we've got a big job to do to make sure that we stay away from the wrong end of the table. That's first and foremost. And all we can do is take a game at a time and try and improve our performances game by game.
In saying that, how difficult is it to do something like that? As you explained with the way a Christmas period goes, just doing a simple thing like maybe a bit of a match debrief, you've got quite the time to do that.
No, that's right. But we've had about a month now. We've been able to put some work into the players and give them a little bit of feedback on how we would work. But I think the players would totally understand this time of the year as well. It's not easy for them to get all the work and all the training they would require and preparation work because, as you rightly said, there's just not that time.
If we can come back to an issue which I know you've talked about, I just mentioned Lanzini, you know where I'm coming, but maybe just to take it a little bit on with, in the week obviously is the incident with Kamari Gray, the game Leicester against City, just highlighting the interpretation of that rule, that law. How far away do you think, or what needs to be done so that you don't have an incident where you've very upset about what happened with Lanzini, then you've got other incidents happening where there is no action taken, because it's all about the implementation of the rule, how the referees, the match officials deal with it, and then how the FA deal with it retrospectively. How far away are you thinking before it actually becomes something which is actually going to work?
Well, I think the important thing is it's something which is in place, and I think it's right to be in place. I think we don't want simulation in our country, but I've been fortunate enough to work in Spain, where it's seen as very much part of the game, and it's seen as very much as doing the right thing for the team. And that's why there's much more free kicks and fouls in Spain and stoppages in the games than when we got in the Premier League. I think the Premier League referees do a great job in trying to keep the game moving, and I think they do a great job in trying to give the right decisions. Our referee was 10 yards from it. As I said, the defender stuck his leg out and the player went over. I think he gave the referee a decision. The referee took the decision. The FA and the committee have gone against the referee, not against us. They've gone against their own people. So if they don't support them on decisions which are splitting the country, I think it's very difficult.
Now you've had a bit more time to reflect on it, just still irritating, annoying, frustrating, is it what's happened with the Lanzini decision?
No, we've moved on now. So you asked the question. I've given you my opinion of what I think. I think the rules brought in is a really good rule. I'm disappointed with the decision because I think that there is similar situations have not been dealt with in the same way as ours has, and I feel that's a bit unfair. It's more than unfair.
Just moving on to something probably that is unfortunately just part of football now. Paul Clement sadly lost his position at Swansea. Just your thoughts on on why that comes about, why clubs have to make a decision, and obviously with what you've done here at West Ham, given the impetus needed, what is maybe some of the decision making behind changing a manager at what can be a crucial part of the season?
Yeah, look, I know Paul well. He's a really good coach. He's experienced now. He said, he'd done a great job in Swansea. Last year he came in and took Swansea up. But I think I've experienced it as well. I think when you're at a club which has been a regular team round the bottom, it makes it very difficult, to actually completely change it. Something has to change, or 1 year you do fall over. So, unfortunately, the game we're in now means that the manager's job is very short, and I think I think we all understand it now. I think when you're a manager, you come into it and you understand that this is probably the way it's going to be.
Just to elaborate on that, when you first came into football management, just can you give a sense of the perilous nature of being a manager, whatever time of the season it is? It can be a short job spec sometimes. It can.
It's got worse. I remember when I was a young manager coming in, you used to always look to Italy and say, isn't it terrible how they treat the coaches and the managers there? They get rid of them so quickly. But I think now, we're up there with the, changing the managers around. We've got lots of foreign owners, which has changed the dynamics. Obviously, the money which is in the Premier League now is made things greater. It's getting much harder to play young players because of, the demands that you have to win. And, every game now is near enough a cup final, every game you're involved in. But we love the game. We like to be involved in the game. And I don't think it'll change if you're a manager, but obviously it changes that you can lose your job if you don't win enough games.
Just thoughts on the weekend, Newcastle, a manager you know well, both of you were dominating Merseyside for many a year.
Yeah, Rafa had really good Liverpool teams. In fact, I look back at Liverpool and I look at their teams now, and I think it'll be hard to come up against better Liverpool teams when it was Mascherano and Xabi Alonso and Steven Gerrard and Hippie and Carragher, Torres. I could go on and on. Really, Dirk Kuyt. They're really, really difficult to beat. But we had a few battles over the years. I missed Rafa when he went to Real Madrid. I was just left Sociedad, so I missed him in Spain. But obviously we've had over the years we've come across each other.
What do you make of Newcastle at the moment? What do you think in this game? The areas where you're looking to exploit their weaknesses.
Well, it's a game. We're at home. I mean, I've got to say, our crowd have played a brilliant job in helping us. And there's nothing would give me sort of more pleasure than giving them a great Christmas present of getting 3 points on Saturday. We had a really good win at Stoke against a competitor. We need to try and do that again against Newcastle as well. So we're at home, and we have to try and hope that the crowd, everybody's behind us, and we can all enjoy our Christmas period.
Just a final couple of questions to be on. You explained very eloquently earlier on about that concertina with all the fixtures. In terms of preparation for the upcoming transfer window, when do you kind of start work for that? Where are you looking at areas where you may need to improve or want to improve?
Well, I would hope that once the window closed last August, yeah, the work would have started then. I mean, that's what work should do. The football clubs, and I thought the clubs I've been with, you start your work immediately to see what might be available, what you might need come the next window. I think as managers we do need a couple of windows sometimes, either to get players in or change things around. But as we talked about just recently, now you don't always get that period to do so. So I'm hoping that we can add to the squad. But as always, there's no guarantees that will happen.
Areas in particular that you'd like to?
Yeah, we've got areas we need to strengthen in. We've got areas where we've got a lot of players, but there's areas I think if we could strengthen in, we would do. But I would really like players who I think can go into the team. But again, I repeat myself from probably a week or two ago, the most important players at this moment in time are the players who are at West Ham, and that those players keep performing at the level they're at. They're the ones who I'm really interested in. Hi there. I doubt with Mikel Antonio, who couldn't play in midweek with a bit of a calf injury, so that gives us a question mark about him. After that, I hope that most of the Czech Coyotes trained this week, so we're hoping that he'll be available. After that, I think that the big ones is like Mark Noble won't be available for the weekend. Mark's got a bit of hamstring injury.
Happy with last week's performance, but you did mention to Gerard just then about where you would like to go with the team. Where would you like to go? What's your ambition?
Well, my ambition is always be to be at the top. It really is. But obviously doing that, it's here it's small steps, and sometimes it's a long journey. Quite often now football supporters don't like the long journey or the thought of the long journey. But really, to get there, I don't think we're necessarily going to be a club who will go out and spend hundreds and hundreds of million to get there in the short term. So I always think, your youth policy, the players you bring in, and I think just the way you try to develop your club gives you a better chance of getting there, albeit sometimes it takes a bit of time.
It takes a bit of time, but again, as you mentioned, Paul Clement sacked this week, and managers just aren't given that time. How frustrating is that?
Well, it's difficult in the job now because I think England have got so many good young players throughout the country. You've seen that with their teams winning in different tournaments. For all those young players not to be getting a chance to play, but that's because of where the Premier League's at the moment. The Premier League is making it so difficult for the managers to play them. Paul Clement's a relatively young manager and coach who needs to be given time as well to build his team. And I don't think whoever manages Swansea is going to always have a good time. I'll be surprised if we thought there's somebody out there who could manage Swansea and wouldn't have some good times, but lots of bad times as well and some good times. And I think you need to realise the jobs you move to. West Ham, for example. West Ham at the moment have had some good times, but some bad times as well.
Do you think the owners need to manage their expectations a bit more?
Yeah, I think that we've had a big influx of foreign owners who want their teams to be in the top league because of the money which is involved as well, and rightly so. And they're putting in a lot of money, but I've got to say they're getting paid an awful lot of money as well.
Newcastle struggling, you're on the ascendancy. How much confidence do you go into this game?
We go into the game with big confidence. We go in there hoping to show our supporters, our home supporters, how we played at Stoke City. The result was good for us. We've had a good week in Premier League points. So I think there's a lot of things we're doing right. I want to do much better. Where my vision is to where I would like it to go is somewhere else. But at the moment, the small job at the moment, winning the games, being hard to beat, and picking up points it can be the only thing we can do.
This is going to be one of those impossible questions. In your ideal scenario, where would you want to be at the end of the season? Where would you want to finish?
This season, well, it's a simple question. It's making sure that we're not in the bottom three. That's a simple question. My own heart tells me that I would love to see us climb the table, and depending on how results go in coming weeks, we may do that. So we've got to plan for that. But up until last week, you couldn't talk about anything else but getting outside the bottom three. We came outside the bottom three, I think, certainly since the first time I've been here. But I don't know how often before that, how long West Ham have been in the bottom three.
Okay, cameras off, please, guys.